Right, welcome back to Pine Tree State Restorations. And what we're working on today is I've gotten a lot of emails and texts from people struggling to get these BB guns apart. So I thought I'd do a quick video on how to get these apart super easy and how to make the tools that literally will cost you pretty much nothing and it'll work every single time. Now, like in the case of this Daisy Model 75, this is a Plymouth gun, which means it's pre 58. I didn't even realize I had this. I was looking around the closet one day. I got a bunch of BB guns, a bunch of BB gun parts, and I forgot that one of my friends, bought me this BB gun at an auction. And I go, oh, I forgot I had that. And I thought, well, it's in pretty good shape. We should fix it. So I went to take it apart, and of course I didn't have a spring compressor. So I thought, all right. So I have enough junk guns that I figured out I'd make one real quick and figure out the best way to do that. So how we're going to do that is, in order to get this gun apart and fix here's an abutment seal and washer out of another gun, and here's a power plant out of a Daisy 1105, which is a little bit bigger piston on that. But that's what it looks like inside the gun. In order to get that spring out of that gun, you have to compress that spring, and then you have to remove this little piece that holds the spring in so that you can pull the spring out so you can work on it. A lot of times the abutment washer comes loose and it'll follow the piston and you won't have any power. Or it's bad, or the seal's bad, or whatever, spring bad, whatever. But you got to get in there and you got to replace that stuff, and you can buy all that stuff. It's no big deal. So how you do that is you take off the lever first, one screw, take the trigger out, one screw, take the stock off, two screws. And inside, you're going to want to run that. I put it in a vise, and then I butt the gun. I take that forearm off, of course, but I butt the gun up against the wall so I don't have to tighten the vise very tight. Got to use padded jaws, some wood or something, rubber or something to hold it in there. You'll scratch it, obviously. And then what you do is you run this tool up inside there, up along this top edge. And you have to push. The problem is on this spring right here. Well, what happens with a lot of guys is the tool will slip off. And then it'll go past the spring and they'll get all jammed up and it won't get in there. Worse is they'll go to put it back together and it'll slip off, and then you'll get this all discombobulated, and then it's a son of a gun to get out. So how you make this tool is you notice my tool has a slight little bend on each end, but there's more to it than that. So what I'm doing is I'm going around the metal, bending slightly in, but I also took this on a belt sander, a square, one that was square, and I square sanded the ends of this so that when it goes around this, it hits those springs square on. Now, if you didn't do that and you bent them, you'd have a slight angle and it might want to slip off. So you want to do that. And I'm going to send you the dimensions here of the tool I made. Literally, it's a block of wood and two copper rods. You can use welding rod. You can use TIG rods. They're 125 diameter. I'm going to show you a picture of the dimensions right now. Okay. Here, let me get a piece of paper up here. Let me get that. That's what you got. Okay. So, make that tool. Put a slight bend on it right here. What happens is it goes around this block, and then the sides of it hit the side of the gun. That stabilizes it so it doesn't want to move. These won't bow out. These won't slip off the spring, and it worked good. You literally can press that in there. First time, 2 seconds, comes right out. I've done it umpteen times lately. So this is how you make the spring compressor tool. Now, these dimensions are only for the small frame Daisy. If you go to a big frame Daisy, like say a Daisy Model 95, you're going to have to make a different tool because this is probably going to be wider than this. It might still work, but it might be a little longer or it might be a little wider. But it still might work for a Daisy Model 95, but you'd have to try it. It'd be pretty close. Yeah, it might work. You might be able to get it to work. But I really designed this tool for the small frame daisies, like the Scouts and 1105s and all the other little daisies they make. But this is basically a Red Ryder with a short barrel. That's basically all it is. Um, so that's how you make that tool. When you go to put the spring back in, you slide it in there, make sure it's square. When you go to put this piece back in, whatever you do, make sure you don't put it in backwards because you will be sorry. Okay. So when you put that spring back in, what happens is the spring pushes on this, and it goes in like this. Because right on that arc, there's a pin on the frame, and that spring pushes on that pin to keep it from coming out. If you got it backwards like this, and the spring gets jammed up in there, you might have fun getting it out. So be aware of that. And then, of course, oil it. You can buy all these seals. They're on eBay. You can buy pretty much anything you want. But when you go to put it together, you're also going to need two other simple tools to get it back together. One, you're going to need just a little piece of dowel, because when the piston gets up into the chamber, you usually got to tap it to get it in there. It's pretty tight. But before you do that, you need a guide rod. Okay. So I just took a gun cleaning rod, a real small one, and you file down the end. I haven't polished the end yet, but you're going to put that in the end of the barrel like this. Okay. End of the barrel. That's your guide rod. That goes through first. Push it in here. Meet down here. If you got to put an extension on it, do so. But as you're pushing this in, the guide rod is going to go through the abutment hole. Take the barrel off, obviously. Goes through the hole, and you got to guide that back into the hole because it's kind of a small hole, and you're never going to get it in there without a guide rod. Once you tap it with this dowel and you get the piston in, you can just pull that guide rod out the front and then push it in the rest of the way, and you can put it back together. Compress your spring and put your. A lot of times it's a sight. Sometimes on scope models it's not a sight. It's just a little, like on this Daisy 75, it's not a sight. It's just a little ear because it has a sight. On certain other guns, like an 1105, the sight is also the retainer. So that's how you make it. That's how you make a spring compressor for a small frame Daisy. And super cheap. Don't have to spend $50 on a tool. I've seen a lot of people struggling with these things. If you make the tool right, it'll work mint every single time. You won't have to fight it. If you put it in the vise, you got it all squared away, and you got the tool made like this. You can push her right in, pull her out, push it back in, put the clip back in. You're good to go. So thanks for watching Pine Tree State Restorations. And if you can, hit like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it because this channel is all about you. If you guys have any questions, text me, email me, whatever, got problems with your BB gun or anything on any of my videos, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm here to help. We'll see you soon.